Hello, and welcome to The Kosh. I'm your host, Timber Smith, and The Kosh is a podcast that spotlights people who have had an association with The Kosh or the surrounding Fox Cities area. Hey, Kosh listeners, how are you doing? Once again, it is another wonderful morning, and you know what? I got to kind of break down what is the mood of the day. Well, the mood of the day is it's super sunny. I think it's going to be a fantastic day. I just get this feeling like it's going to be good energy. I'm going to go run out and actually do something because the Packers aren't playing today. So that means we actually have our lives here in Wisconsin this Sunday, which typically does not happen in football season. Somehow Wisconsin revolves around the Packers. When it's football season, you got to know if the Packers have a game or not have a game to know if you can do anything. Like if you're going to have an event, don't have it during the Packer game because no one's going to be there. It's just a fact. All right. So today is my day to go out and kick it because I do not have to be around to see what is going on with the Packers. Okay. Now, Kosh listeners, you already know. You know what I'm going to say. I do not know how I keep getting these amazing guests. And, like always, this is no different because today's guests are fabulous and there's great energy in the space. So, without further ado, this week's guest is Karen Iverson Riggers and Lynn McLaughlin.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are we feeling?
Pretty good.
Feeling good.
Okay, I can tell by the looks on your faces that I did not slaughter anybody's name.
You did not.
This is fab because I've got a long legacy of hacking some names up. So, and I'm supposed to remember to ask ahead of time to phonetically, how do you say that so I can phonetically spell it? But we just went on and jumped in that pool.
Yeah, all good.
All good. Okay. So I think what I'm going to, we normally don't have two guests, so this is going to be fun. And I'm going to try to bounce around and figure out how do we maneuver this? Not that we've never had two guests because we've had couples, but couples are different. And so, all right, let's jump in. And the first question I got is, and I'm going to start with you, Karen. What is your connection to the Kosh and the surrounding Fox Cities area?
So my roots run pretty deep. I was born in Appleton, grew up in Appleton.
Hey.
Yeah, went to the University of Minnesota and swore I would never come back to. This was like a high school quote here. This stupid white bread town.
No.
Oh yeah, right. I know.
Well,
so
okay,
yeah,
that's fair.
And here I am, right? And we've had chances to move, and I'm like, no, this is the place. Like, this is the place I want to raise my family. This is the place I want to be. This is a place that is connected in ways that I've lived other places, and the spirit of community and collaboration is something that is really different in the Fox Valley in Northeast Wisconsin. So here I am. I'm here, right? So deep roots to the Fox Valley, and now have built a life here for myself and for our family.
Okay.
And so my roots run pretty deep, and now I'm,
Except for that Minnesota thing.
Yeah, I am in my family. I'm like the only one who did not go to UW-Madison. Okay. And so I am a little bit, I'm that person.
Yeah, that's okay. We do have a term for those people that leave and come back, and that is a boomerang.
A boomerang?
Yeah,
I'm a boomerang.
You are a boomerang. Actually, particularly because, I work in Appleton. That is a big term in Appleton. There's so many boomerangs around Appleton.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Like everybody comes back in their early 30s.
Uh-huh.
Like they leave, they venture out, they go explore the world, and then they come back and they're like, oh, yep, Appleton's pretty cool.
Yeah,
the Kosh is pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that happened. you said, I believe there's a reference to children in there. We have children?
Yes. I have 3 children. So I have a 19-year-old Nick.
Okay.
And he is a sophomore at UW Milwaukee, majoring in social work.
Awesome.
Yeah, he just sent this was like, he's a huge Bucks fan, a huge basketball fan.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, there. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he sent me a video like from like you to me away from Damian Lillard.
You got to be kidding me.
No.
Oh.
No, he was there welcoming the Dame to the 414. So yeah, so that's Nick. That's my oldest. I have Quinn, who is 11, and Ari, who is 7. And it is wild. So we've got like a pretty big age difference. And Quinn and Ari both, one goes to our neighborhood school, one goes to Appleton schools. Appleton schools are part of the reason that we've stayed, because Quinn goes to the Talented and Gifted Charter Magellan for middle school, and that has been amazing for him. Yeah. So yeah, shout out to our Appleton schools.
Big shout out.
Yeah, huge.
Okay, awesome. All right, Lynn, let's
So
go.
I think I'm a boomerang. Because I did kind of the opposite in that I grew up in the suburb of Menominee Falls, Milwaukee area. And Menominee Falls was a bit too structured and controlled for me. And family issues, excuse me, I wanted to get as far away as I could, so I came to the Fox Valley, and I haven't left. So I came up here in the early 90s and got married, have a child adopted from China, beautiful Asian young woman, divorced, so single mom, and I love Appleton. When I think of home, that's the feeling I get, and that's the feeling I want, is community and connection and all of that good stuff. My daughter is in the boomer part. She went from Appleton to Minnesota, and graduated from college, and now she's in Salt Lake City, Utah. And she talks about coming back, but she's 24, so she's got 6 years to ring.
Facts.
Yeah,
but just,
so I'm
but just know that there's a chance. There's a decent percentage that she might boomerang back.
Yeah. Yeah, she talks about it. She said there are values that we have here and connections that we have here that she wants. So right now I'm an empty nester single mom with 2 dogs, which is why I'm very connected to Bosco, your dog. Have a Shih Tzu at home, a puppy named Esther, and a little Yorkie named Lennon, and they're my kids. For the time being.
I relate. Bosco actually is here. He is the official podcast producer. He's Bosco the podcast dog during podcasting times, which means that he's going to sniff on you. He might jump in your lap. If you rub his belly, he'll be your best friend.
Okay.
These are the things that do happen in episodes at any given time. You know what? You both make me feel good in the sense that even though we are the Kosh, we do have a really close tie to the Appleton area. And a big part of what I do professionally has to do with feeling like you belong in Appleton. So you telling me that you feel good about that, the culture there, makes me feel good. So I appreciate that. Are we ready to jump in?
Sure. Let's go.
All right. First segment is called What in the World is Going On With. This is where you start with the phrase, what in the world? And then you tell us what is on your mind. So, Lynn, let's start with you.
What in the world is going on with allergies and pink flamingos?
Bruh.
They are interconnected. The pink flamingos, I don't know if you have seen them down in Port Washington. There's a lot of people celebrating, like, what are flamingos doing in Port Washington? But I'm a firm believer that it's more of a what in the world is going on. And I think climate change, and I think all of those kind of things, and allergies as well. And I've been struggling with allergies, and I'm not a pleasant person when they're really, really up for me. So figuring out how to navigate a very different environment in our world right now is kind of in the forefront of my mind, because I was down for the count yesterday with allergies, and yeah, I'm kind of over it.
I'm with you. Like allergies, allergies are like the thing no one talks about that kicks your butt all the time.
Yeah.
Like when I get allergies, and it's like that first season, like in spring, when everything's blooming and it all kicks in, and then it's like I almost catch like the allergies to the point of the flu.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. And it just totally takes over, and it's just like, oh my God, everything is stuffy and puffy, and it feels wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on the allergies. But this whole pink flamingo thing, I saw the news, heard about them, have not seen them in our region yet, but I'm curious. And I didn't even think about climate change.
Yeah, I don't know if they are up here. I mean, obviously it's warmer, and there's all these different changes happening environmentally. And like I said, my initial reaction was, what are they doing up here? And I firmly believe that animals figure out how to survive, and they go to where they need to survive. So yeah, it was felt like a red flag kind of a thing. And like I said, the number of people that I've talked to about allergies being significantly harder this year was also kind of in the forefront of my mind.
Oh, yeah. We've had conversations here on the Kosh about that whole air quality thing that went down.
Yeah.
Like, it was a rough air quality year this year.
Yeah.
You know, and my last thing about these flamingos is, you know, they say, wait, if flamingos, we live in Midwest Wisconsin. Who ever thought we would be talking about pink flamingos? Like,
And
that's
the reality is their pinkness comes from shrimp.
right. That was exactly where I was going with it. Are they going to stay pink if they are Wisconsin flamingos? Or are they going to be like broad colored or something? I mean, I don't know. Cheese colored flamingos. I don't know. What's going to happen with them? Are they going to be able to remain their pinkness, or are they going to turn a different color because they're not eating the same diet?
What in the world?
Facts. Okay. I like that one. That was awesome. All right, Karen, what do we got?
Are you ready?
Yes.
What in the world is going on with school pickup and drop-off lines? If you are a parent, you hear me right now, right? Like, I joke around with my kids that I'm going to come up with a video game, and it's called School Pickup, and you have to, like, navigate all the traffic. And for some reason, everybody is on their, like, worst behavior in the line, like not watching for other pedestrians and kids, cutting people off, like not following like what the rules are about where you park and where you can pull up, or staying in your car, or like all of that. And so I'm coming up with a video game. You heard it here first, right? Like, master the school pickup line. So we have one kid we can walk to school. Thank goodness, right? Like, we can walk. And so I don't have to like get through that. But our other middle schooler, we have to like pick up and drop off. And it is the like parents out there are like, oh my gosh, yes, same. Like trying to navigate like getting around people, and everybody is in a hurry, and everybody, you know, we're not enjoying it. So yeah, what in the world is going on with that? Could we just be a little kinder and also like follow like the traffic rules, and then like watch for all of the small people that are coming out of school? Could we do that? Yeah.
I think you have just found the sentiment of every parent who has to drop their kids off and pick them up. I think you nailed something there.
Yeah.
And I love this video
Real.
game idea. Can you make
Yeah.
it something for the iPad that you
Yeah.
kind of swipe your car around?
Yeah. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah.
I'm going to date myself here, but it reminds me of the movie Mr. Mom, where all the moms are going,
yes.
"You're doing it wrong,"
Mm.
because he pulls in the wrong way.
Yeah.
And,
There's a way. I am just going to say, as an empty nester, I don't miss it. Don't miss it.
yeah.
Right.
And, you know, unlike most parents, I think one of the greatest transitional times in our household was when my daughter got her license so she could take herself. Let me tell
Yeah.
you, that is a fantastic point
Yeah.
in life
Yeah.
when that is no longer your responsibility.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I think it's underestimated.
Right. And you also don't have the, like, we have the dynamic in our house, like one of our kids really loves school, and so like gets up ready for the day, like, let's go, like just, and is ready, and the other one doesn't love school so much, and so it is like, every morning, like, we have to get in the car by this time, like we have to get in the car by this time. And so I do remember that vividly with my oldest. I was like, if you're late, like, that's on you, right? Like, I'm not telling you to get your shoes on, like, you're on.
Yeah.
So
Grab a Pop-Tart, make it move. Make it shake.
that's right. That's right.
Okay, that's fabulous. What in the world is going on with these chipmunks taking over the world?
Bruh.
I swear right now. Wait, I'm not even kidding. Because here's the thing. There's so many this year, and they've started burrowing into the ground. So I have a tunnel system in my lawn. I'm not even kidding. They disappear into the grass, and then all of a sudden I'm angry at them. And like, I'm seriously that dude. I'm the angry dude with the lawn. And so if you catch me chasing a chipmunk, I will deny you saw me. But it was probably me.
Bruh.
It was probably me. And so, and then they disappear, and then all of a sudden they go in some hole, and then they pop up in another spot in my lawn. I'm frustrated with them. They've got an entire city underground in my lawn. And there seems like there's like 100 of them. Like, they're driving me crazy. And chipmunks cause trouble. Like, they eat things. They eat your wires, and they burrow into things and all of that. So, like, they're cute until they're not cute. So I just don't even play that game, because I've had some chipmunks actually, and I've got another rule. If you don't pay rent, you can't live in the house. And I've had chipmunks get into my porch. And so that's a problem, because nobody was paying rent, and they were leaving crumbs of shells of nuts everywhere. And it was just like, oh my God.
Are they in alliance with the squirrels that leave the walnuts in our garage in places? Like, we find the other day I walked in and there was like a walnut jammed in my son's bike tire that a squirrel had put there, like, for later.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're in alliance. Are they in alliance, the chipmunks and the squirrels? Or are they, like, is that some sort of, like, do they get along? They're both causing trouble.
Yeah. They're mischief.
Yeah.
And yes, they are totally in alliance.
Okay. Yeah.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally, the bottom line is they know what they're doing. Because I've had squirrel issues too. I had squirrels that burrowed into my ventilation system in the roof, and then I had to try to chase squirrels out of the crib because you could hear them, and you're just like, that's tough stuff. So my whole thing is this: look, I have nothing against nature. Me and nature get along good, but here's what me and nature can't do. We can't live in the same house together until they start paying rent. If they pay rent, we can talk.
That's fair.
But until that point comes, and since most of them, I think, are unemployed, yeah, we're not going to get along. And why so many? What is about this year that there's just so many chipmunks? There just seems like there's an abundance. And okay, Kosh listeners out there, are you having these same issues with the chipmunks? And when did chipmunks start digging tunnel systems? Like, this is crazy. So I have been doing research, and what I've decided is I'm going to start a mint farm and put mint everywhere because they hate mint apparently, and so we're going to mint them out. That's how we're getting down.
Does that work with bunnies?
I don't know. Bunnies drive me crazy, but we put it, but only for the purpose of a fence. Like if they're not in my garden, we can get along. They scatter, like they ghost. These chipmunks aren't leaving. They're like, oh, he's coming after me. Hey, look, I've got a tunnel right here. Hey, let's dip in here. I'm gonna pop over here. Ha ha. And they're like, they're driving me crazy. Yeah.
Mint. So noted.
Yeah. So there's these mint packets I found. Like there's mint bags or things that you could put, or there's mint sprinklings you can put. But I hear it just drives them crazy. Like it makes them dizzy, like to that nauseous. And so they'll totally leave. So I'm going to mint the house down.
Yeah, you're really coming after him.
Look.
This is war.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it's like Caddyshack.
Right. Yeah. Totally have that image.
Oh, yeah. Well, these things have to happen. Look. All right. So, you ready for the next segment?
Ready.
All right. Next segment is word association. This is where I'm going to say a word and you tell us what comes to your mind. We always start with a word, the unifying word, the word that bonds us all, the word that when you say it, you tend to smile, and that word is food. So, Karen, let's go.
Oh my gosh, I was waiting for Lynn to look at me because you've just picked my favorite topic to talk about.
Bruh.
Food. So you might have to just take the microphone or just cut. I don't know.
Oh no, we're gonna let you go.
Okay, so we're gonna start here, which is I am in love with olive oil cake right now.
What?
Yeah.
What is olive oil cake?
Yeah, cake that's made with olive oil,
Bruh.
quite a bit of olive oil. And I've made a chocolate one before yesterday for a gathering I went to. I made a lemon olive oil cake, and it was divine. It was just simply divine. So yeah, changed my life a little bit. So that's that, right? I could talk about that, but when we talk about local food, the local food that I dream about right now is the kale Caesar salad at Mill City Public House. It is everything. I've tried to make it at home. I can't capture the magic, whatever it is that they are doing to their kale Caesar salad. I have dreams about this salad. So
Is that good?
it's that good.
Where's it at again?
Mill City Public House
Okay.
on College Avenue in Appleton.
All right. That gives me something to try to go do on my lunch. And, there's this thing that if you talked about baked goods that you make, you must get Timber some at some point.
Excellent.
There's a rule on the
Yeah,
cash.
got it. Yeah, done. Consider it done. Yeah.
All
And
right.
it will be worth it.
Hey, look, apparently I'm Kosh listeners, if you could see the smile as she talked about this, you will understand this must be special.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Apparently I feel the energy in it. Okay. Lynn.
So I hear the word food and I say, who's cooking? Because, and this is why we are such a beautiful pair, because Karen is the best cook, best baker, and I am not. I've got I've got the standards down, but my favorite time, and this is my favorite time of year because I love to make soup. Soup is my jam.
Ooh.
Soup and crusty bread. Those are things that I can make. But if you're looking for wide variety, maybe not. But yeah, on my list for the next 3 weeks is homemade chicken and rice soup. I've got a butternut squash soup that I'm making, and then a taco soup. So yeah, soup's my jam.
Oh, I am in. I am a soup fanatic. I am all about the soup. Soup makes me happy. Just even saying the word soup makes me happy. And you know what I found out? You know who has amazing soup? Jacob's Meat Market.
Ooh.
So they have soup sitting in Jacob's. I actually went on Friday And I saw a friend, big shout out to Jenny. She bought their 12 bean soup, and she's a foodie and she does posts on it, right? And so she talked about this 12 bean ham soup, and she's like, I didn't even know they had 12 beans. And I was like, oh, and she was just saying it was so fantastic. So I was like, you know what? At the end of my day, so I get up and I stroll over to Jacob's, and I was like, all right, walk in there, and here they got these fantastic soups. So I bought 2 of them. And one was a gumbo, and one was this 12 bean soup. And they were everything they were supposed to be. So,
Yum.
So I'm just putting that out there.
My favorite soup place is actually a little bit further north, De Pere. It's called Hey Soup Sister. And, oh my God, they have wide variety. So I, as an empty nester, not a cooker, will go and they've got it in the freezer, and you can pick up made for the day, and soup.
All right, we gotta. I'm gonna replay this part because apparently I need to make a trip to De Pere. Yeah. All right, my favorite soup that's made in a restaurant right now is Authors. Big shout out to Authors on College Ave. Mm-hmm. And whenever they make a soup, that thing is fantastic.
Yeah. I could live on soup alone.
Mm-hmm. All right. The next word is cocktail or beer.
So I'm going to go with a classic, which is brandy old fashioned in Wisconsin. And my favorite place, favorite bar, favorite supper clubby restaurant place is Club Tavern in Menasha. And they make the best old fashioned in my Wisconsin opinion. I think it's really funny. I don't know if you've heard this before. People will travel other places in the United States and then they order, we're the only ones who do brandy old fashioned. And so if you say that, they're like, you're from Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
It's you are here.
There is a number of things about being from Wisconsin that people show you grace.
Yeah.
Yes. I've been places where I might have been having that next libation and they're like, we're gonna, and then right when they're getting ready to say, we're gonna stop you there, and I go, hey man, I'm from Wisconsin. They go, oh, and they never bother you again. They just leave you alone.
Right.
You know, some places, if you have a cocktail and a half, that's it. Boom. They're drawing a hard line. Unless you say you're from Wisconsin.
Right. There are some things where I'm like, I don't know if that's the best thing to be known for, Wisconsin, right? Yeah.
Look, it's our culture. We should be proud of the culture.
It is part of it. Yeah.
We just got to own who we are.
Right.
You know, that's where I'm at with it anyway. I get it.
Bruh.
So I'm actually a person in recovery. So I choose neither, but I love ginger beer and really strong ginger beer with that ginger taste. I have not had it. I'm trying to think of food places where I've had it. Or there is it's a melon ginger drink at Basil Cafe that is fantastic. It's honeydew melon, ginger beer, and lime.
Oh.
And the three together are fantastic.
That does sound fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I think there's actually an opportunity, and actually I hear this as a trend, where they're going to have more non-alcoholic establishments.
Yes.
I personally would dig that environment where, if I wanted to do, let's say, instead of doing the coffee shop, I could go to this place that just serves yummy, tasty mocktails, and do the same type of meetings that I do with individuals. That would be fantastic. Mm-hmm. You know?
I completely agree. I've been in recovery over 20 years, and in my early recovery, we were limited to, do you want, and this is really Wisconsin too, a white soda or a brown soda? And I love that they're doing variations of cocktails and drinks without alcohol, I'm in. Because I like flavor too, you know?
Oh yeah. And I'm just hitting a space where I don't always want one. Sometimes I want to drink something other than a soda.
Right.
But I don't necessarily want a cocktail. But, you know, concert.
So the last one I went to, something my daughter and I have always done for Christmas, I buy her a ticket to a concert, and that's a way for us to always spend time together. I've been doing it since she was in kindergarten. We went to an American Idol concert when she was in kindergarten, so have done a lot of that. And it's often focused on who she likes. So the last one we went to was Dua Lipa, which was really, really good. Again, I'm going to date myself here. I was talking to some friends yesterday about this. I would really like to see Barry Manilow before he dies. And he has a residency in Las Vegas. Yeah, I've been singing his songs for a really, really long time. And, you know, I'm 60. And there comes a point in your life where you start going, I want to see them before... So yeah, that's kind of my next place, but I have always been, that's a gift my mom gave me, live music and loving live music and going to concerts. And I wanted my daughter to have that too.
That's awesome. That's amazing, actually. I'm with you, but I'm at that age also where I'm also like, I want to go see certain people before they pass, because look, the people I wanted to see, Michael Jackson, guess what? Prince, guess what?
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I'm also where you're at, where I'm just like, there's some shows I'm going to intentionally try to put some effort in to try to make it to, just to have those experiences, because you know that the way that time is going, you can't assume that they'll be around for a long, long time.
Right.
So.
Right.
The concert I'm most looking forward to is in December. Our middle son, Quinn, is in Appleton Boy Choir, and he loves to perform, and he loves it even more because they get to wear a tie and a suit jacket for his concert, and that's like his jam. I mean, this is my kid who we were at a department store, and he saw like suspenders and a bow tie and was like, Mom, I need that. You know, so he like the amount of joy that I get to experience watching him is just like, I'm so excited for that. And I also just like, you know, Appleton Boy Choir is just one group, but there's so much amazing local music in our region, really incredible. I'm going to a concert this week at Lawrence that is just being able to do that right in our community is really amazing. So local music.
I think Lawrence Choir, or just the music that Lawrence produces, is such a hidden gem. People don't understand the talent of these students and the level in which they perform. Like it can blow you away.
Yes.
Hands down.
Yes.
I would also like to say, please buy that young man more bow ties. As a bow tie connoisseur, and if you know, you know, yes, feed that
the bow tie.
Feed that need.
Yeah.
It takes a special type of individual to handle the responsibilities of the bow tie. And when that young person is ready, you can send them here, and I will teach them how to tie it. Because that is how it's done. Someone has to sit down with you in the mirror and teach you how to tie the bow tie. I had someone do it for me, and I am here to hand it down to the next generation.
I love that. And Quinn, yes, Quinn would be in.
Oh, yeah. Because once you can tie your own bow tie, no one can tell you anything. Nothing. There is power in the ability to tie your own bow tie.
For real. Yes.
I'm like really excited for Quinn now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing Quinn.
Yeah.
He'd be all over that.
Oh, yeah. And I'm so serious about this
Yeah.
offer.
Okay.
I will.
All right. I'll bring you a lemon olive oil cake.
Yes.
And we'll tie some bow ties.
Facts.
Okay.
All right. Streaming.
So you already heard about my love of baking. You know what just came out on Friday? The new season of the Great British Bake Off. And so I had friends who were super into it, and I was like, it can't be that good.
Bruh.
Yeah, and then I started watching it, and I was like, it's everything. It's a competition show, but they are like cheering each other on and helping each other, and there's no like gross reality drama kind of that happens in a lot of other like competition or reality shows. And so that's it. That's it for me. Like, yeah, I love that. I love everything about that show.
I've heard this by numerous people. Like, it must be one heck of a baking show.
It is so fun. It's so fun. Like, they have a diversity of contestants, and it's British. So for me, that just like increases the enjoyment in a way for me that is really, it's very like calm. It's so funny. I'll be watching it and my partner will be like reading his book or doing whatever. And all of a sudden he's set his book down and is in like watching it with me. Yeah. So it's pretty great. I have a Great British Baking Show board game. Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
There's a board game. There's a board game. Yeah, where you can like make your own like cakes, and I have a whole bunch of cookbooks from contestants. Yeah. So
this is your jam.
It's kind of my jam.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I have a number of streaming services, but I love, Netflix and Hulu, but Schitt's Creek. I watch it over and over and over and take different nuggets away from every episode. Brilliant writing, brilliant acting. You, David, just iconic. And like, I have the book that came out around Schitt's Creek, Warmest Regards. And it's fabulous. It's my jam.
Shop local.
Ooh. I have a number of different places. I immediately went to Close. So Lillian's, I like the not department store. So local and supporting local businesses. So a lot of the little places. Love L is my daughter's favorite, so I'll go there and pick up things in Appleton. And food, definitely all of the little restaurants like Basil Cafe and all of those. So yeah.
All right. Basil's is favorite for me.
Yeah.
That's pretty quality.
Yeah. Super great. So new favorite has to be Arcana Books, which is a new bookstore that opened in the Draw in Appleton. It is this wonderful, cozy little space, and I love to read. I really love to read, and so just love that the owner is amazing, and so that's a local favorite right now for me. And then I also have to go, our family loves board games, and Boardlandia is walking distance from our house. And once a month they do a rummage sale where people like bring in their like used board games. And we may have come home with 6 board games.
Bruh.
6?
6. Yes, 6. And so I love that. I mean, I love the, like that family, what that does for our family. Like we've got a diversity of ages and people are all interested in all different things. And that's one of the things that brings us together. So
I love that. I love a
Board
good
games.
board game, but I have gone electronic. If you don't know about it, look into the Infinity Table.
The Infinity Table. Okay.
Yes, the Infinity Table. I'll share with you about it, but it's a pretty cool device. All electronic. So it's a full. Think of a 32-inch iPad with built-in board games.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Whoa. Yeah.
All right. Diversity.
So, we have had the incredible honor in our work and collaborating with a whole bunch of community organizations. And I want to give like a special shout out to People of Progression and the amazing work that they are doing. I don't know how they are doing everything that they are doing. Like they are running on all cylinders. They are everywhere. And I just really appreciate just how, I would just say how thoughtful they are in what they're putting out into community. So
I would say how intentional they are.
And intentional, yes.
They are.
Yes.
They are highly intentional and laser focused.
Yes.
Big shout out to them.
Yes. Huge shout out to them. So it has been like just amazing working with them.
All right. I like that.
For me, it is, I too, I think of People of Progression. I think of WACMA, which is among organization throughout the state that focuses on mental health. But also when I hear that word, I think of my inner journey as a mom of an Asian daughter. It has been a lot of inner work and looking at the conditional way that I was impacted by white supremacy and racism and patriarchy and capitalism, and really sitting with all of those pieces to create space in me and in my heart for the acceptance, and not even acceptance. There is so much power that comes from hearing people's truth and believing them. And it has been an important journey, and it has been a really painful journey because I've been able to look at ways that I have interacted in my own life with my daughter and in her life, and had to make amends for racist things that I have done as a white mom. So that word always hits me in multiple ways, looking outward and how can I support marginalized populations and people of color, and importantly, looking within and what do I need to do. So it's a lot of different layers for me.
Yes. Yes to all of that. That was just a moment. Like, I felt that. Like, I just want to acknowledge that. Like, when we sit in this space, the Kasha space, and it's a nice, intimate space, and there's energy that takes over, and then there's just certain moments that are just like, this is why we have these conversations, because not just for myself or not for the guests, but for everyone, because others need to hear that, to know they're not alone, to know that they're supported, to know that there's others out here on this journey, and that if you're scared to make that journey, don't be. I can't stress that enough. Thank you. Thank you for that. Resources.
Yeah. So we, I know folks who have moved into this region and talk about how resource rich this region is, and in a lot of ways, we really are resource rich. But one of the things that I would say about resources is what we are making people do to access what they need. And that frustrates me a little bit sometimes in terms of making people kind of, the best word I can say is perform, right? Fill out all these forms, do all of these things, and we'll decide if you're good enough to receive these resources. And I'm very much like, folks have needs. How can we figure out how to make it as easy as possible to get folks the resources that they need?
Yeah. How do we remove barriers?
How do we remove barriers? Yeah. How do we do that? So that's what comes to mind for me. We are an incredibly resource rich community, and that is due to a lot of folks seeing need and saying, how can we create things? How can we offer things? How can we collaborate to better offer things, which is amazing, right? And to name all of that, and to also name, like, I think we can do better.
Can I just say same?
Yes. I mean, if that's where you're at, yes.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that Karen said, and that recognition that too often the people that are making the decisions don't have the lived experience to really recognize what the barriers are or how different things impact them. And I think there is opportunity to grow empathy, like to move, and I'm sure we'll talk about, we're all about moving from your head to your heart, like thinking through what's best for someone. We're feeling through what is best for them, or even hearing what is best for them based on how they identify and how they name it is really, really important. And that's like the bulk of our work is about seeing people, hearing people, and valuing them right where they're at. And if they identify what would be helpful, because we also say it's not help if it's not helpful. Like if someone comes in and we're throwing resources at them, but that's not even what they've named. So I think there is opportunity. We say often use your voice, but I think we need more ears.
I often think and say, and I go by this motto, is that the greatest resource is listening.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so many times that if you just listen, that's the solution. They've never felt heard.
That's right.
And then you listen, and they all of a sudden it's like, I'm good. I've been waiting all this time and all these years and all these moments and all these scenarios for someone just to literally listen to me intently. Not offer solutions, not patronize me, but just to allow me to feel human and heard. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you how many times I've been in spaces like that, and that was the answer. That solved everything. They thought it was all of these other things, but literally after being heard and listened to, they walked away and they go, thank you. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed. Mm-hmm. So I'm all about that life.
Did you see the bobblehead effect over here?
Yeah.
Both of us, like, that's what I call that when we're both like nodding so hard, like, yes, all of that, like more listening.
Yes.
More deep listening.
All right. We're on to the next segment. The next segment is the Kosh Hidden Gems. This is your opportunity to share a hidden gem. That can be something that no one knows about or a lot of people haven't learned about yet, or it could be something everybody knows about, but they don't know these details about it. What are your hidden gems?
you want to go, or you want? Yeah. All right. So I am gonna name that the work that we're doing as a hidden gem. Is that what you were gonna say too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to do it first.
You wanted me to do it first. Okay.
Bruh.
Yeah. Right. More and more people are connecting with the work that we're doing. But I would call us a hidden gem in the classes that we're offering to folks around emotions. We are offering a pop-up listening space called Community Living Room that's been generously funded by community funders. It's free. You don't have to make an appointment. You can just walk in and someone will listen, like really listen. And so, yeah, and we're a little less of a hidden gem than we were, but it's still, we're still a little, and then people hear about what we're doing and they're like, what is this? And we're like, yeah, this is what we're doing. This is it. This is what we're doing. So a little hidden gem.
Okay.
I am going to mirror that completely. When you mentioned being heard, there is something so powerful, and this is a foundation of the work that we do, is around teaching a new way of listening, because so often when you hear listening, you think, be quiet. And it has less about being quiet and more about keeping the thoughts of fixing and judging and assessing and dismiss all of that happens in the head, keeping the head quiet long enough to let a person know that you see them, you hear them, and they matter. There are so many different areas, and especially if we get into resources and things like that, where people repeat their stories over and over and over and over, and it's invalidated or judged or dismissed, and
Or triggering.
And eventually you say, I can't do this anymore. I'm not going to put a voice to it anymore. And again, that notion that we don't need more voices, we need more ears. So that aligns beautifully with the work that we're doing.
Love it. All right. What's the Kosh need?
What's the Kosh need?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does the community need?
What does our community need?
Yeah. What's missing?
What is missing? For me, when I think about that question, I think about, so it's listening, but I think in a little different way, right? A lot of times the voices that are heard are sometimes the ones that are talking the loudest, or sometimes the ones that I will just say, like, we've heard from you, and really listening to folks in our community who want to tell us, right? Want to tell us what is real in their lives and want to tell us what they need. So I think get more opportunities. Lynn lifted up thinking about folks with lived experience, and whether that's in the disability community or whether that is in looking at other marginalized, our refugee community, and whether that is other marginalized, right? I talk about Appleton and I talk about the Fox Valley and Northeast Wisconsin and say, like, we've got a lot of really great things happening and going on, but it's not great for everybody.
Facts.
Yeah. And so how can we better listen to the folks who are telling us, like, this is what we need, and this is what when you're saying it is an inclusive and welcoming community, that's really what this looks like.
And I would expand on that. In addition to the listening is a deeper understanding of the importance of emotion. We talk often about physical health. It's like, get your nutrition and your exercise, have your water, and sleep enough hours. We talk a lot about mental health and the thoughts and how we can create healthy thought patterns, whether that's a treatment center or one-on-one therapy, all of that. but there aren't spaces to talk about the emotions that are going on. And it's very separate than the thinking. And when I think about that, hearing people and validating people, that needs to include emotion. If I tell you something is making me angry, which to me symbolizes an injustice, I need you to recognize my anger and not say, it's not that big of a deal, Lynn, get over it. Or don't you know there's this going on in the world? It's not a big deal. We need to hear the emotion that people are sharing and recognize that that's a valid way of being in the world. And we talk a lot about emotion and all of the different ways that we're told that our emotions aren't important. You know, they're touchy-feely. And anytime someone says touchy-feely to me, I go, oh, you mean human? That's fabulous. Thanks. Because it's an important part of our world that's missing.
Facts. Okay. At this time, we're going to take a small commercial break.
Did you know there are children in the Fox Valley in need of hearing aids, but their parents struggle to provide them because of lack of insurance or high copays? I am Juliette Sturkins, audiologist and board member of Here in the Fox Cities, and proud that this small local nonprofit organization has helped fund hearing aids for some 30 kids. Your donation would help more children hear. Visit hereinthefoxcities.org to learn more and to see their smiles. Every child deserves to hear.
Okay. We are back. And it's that time. It's my favorite time of the show. My favorite segment of the show. You know, I'm going to have to come up with a nice sound to recognize this segment because it's a big deal to me. I love this part, and that is story time. So this is an opportunity for our guests to share a story. We are not telling you what the story has to be about. It is just a story about whatever you want to tell a story about. So we are here for it. All right, Lynn, let's start with you.
So anyone that knows me knows my love of dogs. That was the first thing I noticed when I walked up to your house was the dog. My first dog I got when I was in my mid-40s, and it was a rescue dog. Had lived in a wire cage for 6 years, was very afraid and shook in the corner. It took a lot of time to build trust with. His name was Scoots.
Ooh,
so actually it was Scooter, but became Scoots. And he would stand in the corner of the room, and I would be in the other corner, and I'd put a treat in the middle. And this went on for weeks, and little by little I would move the treat closer to me. And eventually he came all the way over to me and circled and laid down. And what I recognized in that moment, I have a lot of my childhood, there's a lot of abuse and things that happened to me. So my trust in humans was not a lot. And this small dog taught me that you can take risks and trust, and that trust is earned. And that, when he walked all the way over and laid down, I cried and just sat with him like, thank you for the honor of trusting me and teaching me that maybe I can start to trust more people based on time and how they interact with me, and that it can build over time.
Yes. Okay, Karen.
So one of the things I love to talk about is curiosity and being curious about our own emotions, being curious about ourselves, being curious about other people, right? Thinking about that. So I had the opportunity to do some training when in Kansas, when I have done a lot of peer work. So a lot of work with people with lived experience with mental health, substance use, trauma, and have gone through a lot of different trainings, a lot of experiences to learn how to do this work, right? And so we were in Kansas and meeting with someone who had kind of developed this whole really incredible system that's been studied and evidence-based and like this whole thing, right? And I got to meet him and was just like, this is amazing. And so I was like, if there was one thing, right? If there's one thing that you would tell us about doing this work, what would you say? And he said, stay curious. That was it. Stay curious, right? Stay curious about how people come to know the world the way they do. Stay curious about people's experiences and how that's affected them. Stay curious. And that's just been something that has like stuck into the fiber of my being, whether it is when I'm connecting with somebody else, or it might even be a harder practice to be curious with ourselves and less judgmental.
Facts.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I just don't interfere with really amazing answers and stories and responses. So it just is what it is. That was fabulous. Okay. It's that time, y'all. Every single time it makes me happy. I don't know why, but it does. All right. So it is time for the topic of the week. The topic of the week is chosen by our guest 99.9% of the time. That means almost every time. I think there was once. Literally, there was one time I picked the topic. Okay. So, Lynn, Karen, what's our topic?
So our topic for the day is connection is prevention. We've already been like diving into this a little bit, right? As we've been talking through, all sorts of, I love all these, all your questions and word association and so good. But our topic is connection is prevention. We believe really deeply, and we have seen in our work, and even more powerfully have experienced this for ourselves, what it means to really connect with someone, like authentic connection at the level of emotion, and what that does for us as humans. And so connection is prevention.
Let's go.
Okay. So connection is prevention. A lot of times when we are struggling, I think we don't reach out until it gets to the point where we're like, I can't do this anymore, right? I'm overwhelmed. Yeah. And that's a very real thing. I mean, I've experienced, this has happened to me personally, right? Where I've tried whatever to hold it together, or, whatever it is that I'm holding and overwhelmed with, and trying to hold all of that on my own. And when I've had that experience of being vulnerable and real and sharing what's real for me. A lot of times we like ask somebody like, how are you? And the only answer is fine. I'm good. Right. Like those are the answers.
Wait,
yeah.
Right away, my mind went to, I'm good.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. This is the answer. And I will vividly remember this was in like 2021 ish zone, right, in the midst of a pandemic. And I went to a local bike shop to get my bike fixed. And it's somebody I know, like I know the owner, right? And she asked me how I was, and I told her, which was like, I am not like,
bruh. You like legit answered the question.
I legit answered the question, and we're both wearing our masks, and I could see her eyes go like, that was not what I asked you. Right. Like that was not the answer we were going for here. And so many times there's not space that's created for us to talk about what's real. And in talking about what's real, I have a friend in our movement that says pain witnessed is pain transformed. It doesn't change the dynamics of what's going on with me, right? Like it doesn't change what's happened to me, but there is something about being real, being vulnerable, about what's real for me, and sharing that pain or sharing what has happened and sharing what's real that transforms it.
Facts. That's until you said it out loud, I never thought about it like that. But there is. It does transform when you can actually express it, say it out loud, and sometimes when you can have someone else receive it and maybe share some of that energy. That is transformational. I can see that.
Well, and when someone validates, that's real too. I mean, we talk a lot in the work that we do, and especially when we're doing training for community partners and talking about believing people.
Yes. Believing
what's real and what's happened, right? Because we have this little filter, our own perception filter, that we're, that judgments pop up, that we're human. This is what happens, right? This is how we do. This is just how we do it. And so when we can be in a space where we can validate what's real for folks and validate the emotion and not minimize it or judge it or try to fix it or try to, Brene Brown says this, silver lining it, which means, like it usually starts with at least. Well, at least, the chipmunks haven't gotten in your basement.
We don't know that yet.
We don't know. We're not sure. We're not sure, right?
Them jokers, I don't trust them. I do not trust those jokers. They might be down there right now having a party.
They might. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But when I, will validate, like, wow, that sounds frustrating.
Mm. Mm. Yes, actually. If you can't tell, Kosh listeners, these chipmunks really have me in my feelings.
Yeah, I can see that.
Bruh. All right.
Absolutely. And the connection is prevention. Again, that feeling of emotion. If we would just say it's really not that big of a deal. But Karen recognized your frustration and said, sounds like it's really frustrating. That's a really important part of it. And the reality is we're not comfortable with our own emotions. So to sit with someone who has emotion, and I'm thinking in the realm of pain primarily, and the need of our culture to sprinkle it with toxic positivity. Like I use the example often when my daughter went to college, I was heartbroken. I went into a grief spiral. I went into sadness. And everyone who asked how I was, kind of like Karen's bike shop, I was very honest about where I was at and was waiting to find someone who could sit with me at the level of pain that I was describing. And oftentimes it was, oh, Lynn, she's only 2 hours away. Don't worry about it. Or think of all the time have for yourself now that she's gone. And what I needed was I needed someone to see the level of pain I was in. And Karen was the one that did that for me. And I think about all of the people that are hurting right now. And how many people either sprinkled the toxic positivity or minimized it or dismissed it or invalidated. And I think of the pandemic and all of that's washed in there too, all the grief from that. And connection is prevention. It can help people not go to that level of crisis because we see them and hear them right where they're at.
That's powerful. So my question is, when is it okay to positive spin it? And I ask this sincerely because, and, in the work that I do, we can get mired in the negativity, where there's every conversation can be like, this is horrible. We need to be doing this. It's been like this for this long, and I don't see any progress being made, and this and that. And I feel like, we as humans, it is so easy to get encapsulated into the negative. But then there could be a lot of positive happening, right? But that's never, it's like the news cycle. Yeah. News focuses on negative, even though sometimes there's actually really decent things happening. And so I definitely agree with you 100% about, like, there's these spaces where you need to be fully heard, and you don't need somebody to come in here and I'm just going to say the term, I think it's too strong for it, but patronize you.
Yes.
With things like, oh, she's only 2 hours away and stuff like that. No, you're just trying to say, look, I understand logic, but this is how my heart feels. But then again, I think there's points where people just get stuck in that spiral of everything is wrong. There is no good. And, and particularly in what I do, I'm always trying to remind others that, like, yeah, these are challenges we are forever as a community are going to have to work towards to make better. But, and I'm guilty of what you're talking about, I'll say, but if you look at every other municipality surrounding, we're doing pretty amazing. And I will sprinkle those chimneys on that pastry treat.
Yes. And so I am a huge follower, and I don't even know, like, they're amazing. Adrienne Maree Brown wrote a book that's called Pleasure Activism. And it's about thinking about how we find joy and pleasure in a world that's often really difficult. And they talk about that this is like a survival strategy. Like, we need this, right? To find those things that bring us joy. And I really deeply believe that we need that as humans. We're wired for that as humans. Like, we are wired for, like, pleasure and joy, right?
Yes.
And so what are those things for you? What are those things for you that bring you joy? I mean, when I think about it, for me, one of the things is getting my feet on the ground and, like, taking a hike out in nature. Like, I will start and I will be, like, overwhelmed and mired and tangled, and, right, things are rough sometimes. And I get to the end of my walk and nothing has changed, right? Right. Other than this, like, 45-minute little, walk that I've taken and some time and to process, but everything has changed.
And I would say we talk about the concept of both and. Like, we can hold the heaviness that sometimes things are really, really hard, and recognize what's going right in the world. And I firmly believe when you said you're going to sprinkle that all over, it depends on who I'm with and what they're talking about. Sometimes those stories keep coming up and keep coming up and keep coming up because no one's ever sat with them in the emotion that's attached to it. So yeah, I see it very much as a both and intuitively responding to where the person is at. Maybe they just need to hear it is really, really hard.
Can we take a moment and talk about your resource and where Matter of fact, all the questions. Let me just break those down. That's the who, the what, the where, and when. How does all of that work into the resource? And then can we end that up with, how do we reach out to you? How do we get in contact? How do we engage?
Yes. So our organization is called Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative. We're a worker-owned cooperative. We often call it working alone together. So all of us are entrepreneurs in our own little ways, but we have this collective that we work together under Ebb and Flow. And so that's the name of our organization. That's where you can find us online, on the socials, right? Ebb and Flow Connections Cooperative is the name. The what do we do? So we do a lot of training around emotions and emotional health. One that we have been doing now for almost 6 years, which like blows my mind, is emotional CPR or ECPR. So just like you take CPR for your physical heart, this is for emotions. And really it's about thinking about how we connect with our own emotions and how we connect with the emotions of others. When we've been doing ECPR, we've trained more than 1,200 folks. It's amazing. And we found that people were like, this is great, right? This creates this framework, but I don't really know about emotions. Like nobody ever taught me about how do I connect with emotion? How do I name it? How do I sit with it? How do I process it? Like, how do I do this? And so we wrote a curriculum called The Missing Piece, which is all about emotional health and wellness. We do all sorts of other pop-up learning spaces around different topics. Maybe it's boundaries. Maybe it's we're doing one coming up in the next couple of months on compassion fatigue and burnout. So we talk about all sorts of things related to emotion and emotional health. We also do pop-up listening spaces called Community Living Room. You'll find that at communitylivingroom.org. That's pretty easy to remember. Facts, right? Try to make it easy. And we do in-person and virtual listening spaces. These are offered in communities. Some of them are offered for specific organizations, like in the folks that are connected with an organization. And then we have ones that are just public, right? So we have one coming up at the Menasha Library that will be doing one for teens and one for parents. And you can just walk in. You don't need an appointment. You don't need to fill out any forms. And we are there to listen. And the idea with Community Living Room is holding space for connection. The outcome is connection. Sometimes it looks like one-on-one connection. Sometimes it's a group talking about things. Sometimes we're doing activities together. It's about connection. If you like podcasts, listen to the Kosh, obviously, but you can also tune in. We do a podcast called Real Vibes Only. If you're looking for a professionally produced podcast, this is not it. This is this is us being real, having real conversations. It's unscripted. It's just us talking about what's real for us. So that's another way to connect with who we are and what we do. We've received a lot of generous community funding. And so for folks in our area, most of the offerings that we have are free. And so we try to eliminate as many barriers as we can to connecting. But that's kind of a little bit about the 5 W's. Is it the 5 W's? That's a little bit about us. The who, what, when, where, why. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? This is a great question, right? So much of it comes out of our own lived experience. So I have a long journey in the mental health system, some of which was very helpful and some was really harmful. And so for me, this work comes out of a passion of creating spaces where folks can really be seen, heard, and valued just as they are, and where folks can tell us what's helpful, right? Maybe it's connecting to resources. Great. maybe it's just being with somebody, right? And getting connection so I don't feel so alone. That's the why for me.
All right. Anything you want to add?
Not really. That's us.
That's us. I like that. That is us.
That is us.
Okay. One last question. Was there anything else you wanted to share that I didn't ask?
Know that you're not alone. I said there's so many people hurting right now and feeling isolated and disconnected, and know that there's a lot of other people feeling that way too.
Facts. That's just the pure, unadulterated facts. COVID really shown where the holes were.
Mm-hmm.
COVID showed where there was disconnection. COVID shown who was left behind. COVID showed who was without. We need to take that and look at it as a positive. And now that we know, now that we've all seen it, because we all had time to look at it and know, we can do something about it. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, and we talk quite a bit in the work that we're doing about all of the grief that all of us are carrying and how complicated grief is and how we kind of grow around grief, right? These experiences stay with us. And a lot of folks are carrying a lot of grief, and that could be individual grief, right? Like that I've lost a loved one, right? And it could be grief of things that I lost that, I didn't get to see my kids do their like school music concert. There's so much, and we're not talking about it. We're not talking about all of this loss that we've experienced, and this deeply affects us. And so thinking about ways that you can honor that grief, that you can honor it and see it and name it and validate it, right, for yourself, and even more powerfully, talk to somebody else about it. And so that would be the challenge I would, right, bring out to everybody, is to say, like, connect with yourself and connect with somebody else.
The fact that you put a term to it, because I think that's tough sometimes when there's actually not a term like that you can directly call it. You just know this feeling, right? Which when you don't have terminology, it's almost impossible to even tell somebody what you're going through without you feeling like you sound like a crazy person. Mm-hmm. So to frame that under the umbrella of grief makes a lot of sense.
And to honor that. And there are all sorts of ways that we can do that, right? Sometimes it's just like naming, like, yeah, this is a loss that I experienced and this is how it's affecting me. And sometimes it's maybe something that you want to do more kind of as a ceremony or some sort of way to really kind of honor that grief. But a lot of us, myself included, are carrying that, and that affects us.
And I love that you used the word umbrella, because we talk about grief as an umbrella as well, because grief is not just sadness. Sometimes it's anger at the way things happen. Sometimes it's frustration. Sometimes there's joy. Sometimes there's fear. So it is an umbrella that captures everything.
Okay. I think we nailed that. All right. I'm going to give you one more chance. Any last words you would like to put on the subject matter? We feel strong about it. Okay. Well, then. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to start winding up. Thank you, Kosh listeners, for spending time with us, giving us your minds, giving us your ears, caring about our community, caring about this subject matter today. There's certain times when things fill the cup, hit the soul right, renew the energy to keep doing these things. I feel like this was one of those days. This was one of those spaces today. I feel good about this. Kosh listeners, you already know we're a work in progress. We are always trying to do better, trying to get better. Please take a moment and if you tell us how we can do better, email us for a number of reasons. Email us if you want to be a guest. Email us if you want someone else to be a guest, and let us know who you recommend as a guest. You can reach us at askthekosh@gmail.com. Once again, that is askthekosh@gmail.com. Let us know how we're doing. Also, I have a request for you, Kosh listeners. Take a moment and subscribe to the podcast. Please subscribe and also leave a review. Let us know how we're doing. But more importantly, what this does is this improves the analytics of the Kosh, so more people can learn about this. We think we have something pretty special here, and the more community members that can learn about these conversations and these amazing people who live in our communities and these initiatives, resources, or just knowledge or wisdom that they want to share, the more we can find out about this. I just think it helps to make our space better. So all about that. As you know, we here at the Kosh, we appreciate you. So, but now it's time. Now it's time to do the real work. It is shout out time. So, all right, ladies, who's kicking off the shout outs?
So I want to give a shout out to this person that's sitting next to me right here. Mm-hmm. Who I often call my person, right? It has been this week has been a little rough, and I just want to give this shout out to this person who just calls to check in. So thank you, Lynn, thank you. I appreciate you.
Felt that.
Same.
Are you going to ditto this, Karen? Did you just ditto that?
I did. Our organization is, you hear the term person-centered or whatever. We get to be very real in the work that we do, and that means asking for what we need and knowing that someone has our back, and you're that for me. So same, ditto.
Love it. Okay, so this week, well, because I did a episode yesterday, I used a lot of shout outs, but still got more shout outs. That's how this works. I just want to send a shout out to, this is going to end up being the 100th and episode 101. And so I really want to take a moment and just thank all of the people who have taken time to make an episode with us here at the Kosh. Because it's a thing. It's a process. And if you are a Kosh listener, you already know it is not a short process because we do a long form journey. We do not hamper any conversation. It is the guest's episode. If they want to go, we go. We have gotten an episode that is 25 minutes, and we got an episode that's 2 hours and 25 minutes. And we let the conversation do what the conversation do so it can be fully heard, so it can breathe. And just want to say thank you to every guest who has taken time here on the Kosh to give up a Saturday or a Sunday or in the morning to have these conversations and to share their wisdom or to share their emotion or period, just to share who they are. There is so much power in that. We are better when we know our neighbors. And if you ever really wanted to know what the Kosh is about, it's about us getting to know our neighbors. So, thank you, Kosh guests. All right. I want to send another shout out to Jensen's, my supper club up the street. Thank y'all for when I walk in the door. Y'all always make me feel good, me and the wife. And our drink is always nice. That's what I'm going to say. Special shout out to Scotty because he's the best bartender in the world. And send a shout out to my sister and my niece. And I want to send a shout out to whoever is ordering this fabulous weather today because I'm about to go out here and enjoy myself. That's right. So that is it. Now, we've got one last thing to do to finish an episode. All right, Lynn. All right, Karen. And what that is you get a choice. Both of you are going to get this choice. There's 3 choices. The choice is you can either do A, give us some parting words of wisdom. B, tell us what would yourself today tell your 12-year-old self. Or option C, you can do both. Well, it's not a real multiple choice unless you get in all of the above. So that's how we view that. So who would like to start?
Ooh, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. First, I'm going to tell my 12-year-old self something. You don't have to be perfect. You are enough just as you are. I would actually tell my 44-year-old self that too. So those like dual messaging there. That was right there. Words of wisdom, or I guess words I would part with, is just to say to folks like, you're not alone. I don't think we can say that enough. I think we have more in common than we have divergence, and thinking about ways that we can connect and think about connection and how we find that. I think that's it. I think that's what heals. That's what heals for all of us. So you are not alone, my friends.
Okay.
And I would say and it's kind of a combination of both as well. I see you, I hear you, I value you. No matter how you show up, no matter what's going on, just because you are a living, breathing human being. And that's me too.
Wow. That was an amazing journey. The Kosh.